as many of you can see, hi Katerina, good to see you. As many of you can see, I'm in transit, showing you the country possible for this call. I think it would be great if enjoying, if you guys had run it.
Uh-oh.
And I'm ignoring it, just cut me off at any time. Buzz going or have any ideas for our World Log Impact, which is coming up pretty soon. Do we have another agenda? Should we be starting with something else? Do we have a presentation that
We don't have a presentation.
Beth, can I help you out?
Yep, we don't have a presentation this month. I'm hopeful. Well, August might be another challenging one. I was on vacation half of this past month, and a couple of people I reached out to said they'd be happy to do it later, but not this month. And August, I may get similar comments. So I will try for August. But this month, there was something I thought was interesting. Two things that I saw online, one being, I don't think we have anyone from Mentor Ellison on the line. No, but they had a podcast coming out recently about directors, board of directors and their duties related to climate risk. And at the same time, Lee Dance of ELD International, I'm not sure if any of you know her, she was hired as a consultant years ago by World Law Group, and actually attended one, maybe two of our conferences, and did some work for us and some presentations and helped us with a publishing project as well. She had posted this Financial Times article about one of the largest asset managers in the world and how they're going to be paying attention to what directors of companies are doing when they're deciding whether or not to invest. And I thought it tied in with our president, Christian Treichel, who, WLG Impact is one of the things that he introduced to World Law Group, is he thought sustainability and responsible business practice would be one of the focuses of his presidential term. And he indicated that in Germany, clients are more and more asking this type of information of the firms when they're selecting who they're going to be using for counsel. So I wasn't sure how prevalent this is in each of your countries, how, to what extent are clients expecting certain actions from the firms that they are using, and how that impacts your firm's programs. Does anyone have clients specifically looking at a firm's CSR activities or environmental ones for that matter?
Hello, everyone. Here is Katya from CMS Russia. And answering your question, I would like to say that unfortunately, it's not such a big topic with the Russian companies yet. But if we prepare pitches for international companies, of course, we have to pay attention to this part as well. And we do a lot of such pitches. So we started developing this section as well, although it's not that much important in Russia yet.
That's interesting.
Yeah. We haven't seen any requests particularly. We certainly have shown that some of our pro bono activity has been really well received with clients, but we haven't gotten to the point where people are asking. We do think, though, that this is following law firms around the world who have clients around the world, large clients who are going to start or have already started asking some questions. So we think this is a trend that is going to come, the whole CSR policy, and that like pro bono, we all have to be there. We're going to have to be there.
Hello.
Anyone? Hi, Elizabeth.
Yes. Hi, this is Elizabeth Nadal from Cuatro Casas. we are definitely having active clients, both asking, I mean, we are Europe-based, so regulations in Europe are being designed and enforced from some time, and there is new human rights corporate due diligence and responsibility norms that will be approved by the end of this year or next year. So our clients are quite have shown a big interest in these matters. They speak not as much of CSR, but they speak of ESG. So how to manage their new roles and responsibilities on their impacts in terms of environmental, human rights and governance. We are being more and more requested to disclose how we manage those impacts as firms, as part of their value chain. And also, we have put in place a specific unit to work with all our practices to improve our services at this regard, especially adding human rights in tort litigation and fulfilling all the ESG disclosure requirements of the financial sector. And
Wait, could you just stop with that for a second? Stop on that and tell us more about how the human rights fits in?
yes, I don't know if you've heard about the recent Shell litigation decision in The Hague in Netherlands. This is a quite an innovation, because Netherlands does not have, as other European countries such as France or Germany very soon, a domestic law setting explicit due diligence obligations and civil liability, tort liability of the companies with regard to their human rights case. Holland doesn't have this kind of domestic law yet. The European Union is preparing a directive on this, but there is already a judgment in Holland, in The Hague, of a civil court setting an injunction for Shell that obliges the mother company, who has the headquarters in Dutch and in Holland, to reduce by 2030 and by 45% their carbon emissions. And this is based on the danger of carbon emissions have on the right of life and health right of the population that lives in that country. It is based in a standard of conduct set by the civil code in that country, the domestic code. So it's a very old standard of conduct applicable to any person or company, which sets to take the appropriate measures to avoid damages to the rights of third parties. So there is a trend in Europe where judges are pushing both governments and companies to assume their roles and obligations with regard to climate change, but not based on an abstract right of a good environment, but based on the scientific consensus that the environment has direct effects on the health and the life of the people. So this is a trend that courts are speeding in Europe, even quicker than the laws are enforced and or even approved and passed by our EU legislators and domestic legislators. So we do have, we do see that our clients are more and more aware of this, and that they are acknowledging that it is time in Europe to go from corporate programmatic policies to real obligations and real acts enforced by companies and their operational life on their day-to-day. So we do have a lot of requests to disclose as a firm, our ESG commitments and impacts, and also a legal interest on how all these up to now voluntarily principles and codes of behavior to manage the ESG impacts of economic activity are becoming real obligations, enforceable, and therefore, possible origin of tort litigation.
Just to continue what Elizabeth was saying, here in Brazil, we are seeing the courts also ruling against companies based on human rights principles, business and human rights, the UN guiding principles, and based on the national directives that are supposedly a voluntary option for companies, but the public ministry is also pressuring companies, and we see the labor courts, for instance, ruling against companies based on that. I think it's really paradigmatic. And what we see based on that is our clients getting a broader interest in CSR initiatives, but not only the traditional CSR initiatives, but how to implement coherence and good practices in all the stages of the productive chain. So I think it's something really emblematic that they are shifting from having a specific department for CSR initiatives to seeing how to look at human rights and environmental issues in all the departments and all the stages of the productive chain.
So are you suggesting that they're also, not just interested that your firm is compliant with these, goals and initiatives, but also that they would use you as sort of a guide for them internally to be sure, that they could model
Absolutely.
themselves after
Absolutely.
your firm?
Absolutely, they are. Go ahead, Clara, please, go ahead.
What I was going to say is that I, for instance, I work as head of business and human rights practices in the law firm, in Tosini Law Firm, exactly assisting clients with litigation and advice issues regarding to business and human rights. And we see a real trend of clients expecting us to be coherent, so to have good practices in CSR initiatives, pro bono, diversity, but also having a good knowledge about how to implement in their activities good practices in business and human rights, and a CSR that is integrated in those good practices. Because here in Brazil, culturally, companies would have like good practices in education, but their main business would be, I don't know, something in the industry. So now they're integrating both to look at also education, but also how to minimize the negative impacts of their activities and how to generate good impact based on their main activities.
Anyone else have any comments about how this is playing out in your country? No? Maybe we'll skip, or go ahead.
Oh, no, not so technically, but it actually got Natasha and I work in the BD side, and Natasha looks after our pro bono and CSR offering. And we actually have been mandated recently just to update all of our pitch wording, because specifically ESG is moving on so quickly and the laws are becoming more clear and concise. And our pitch wording, we've noticed, has been a little bit outdated, and clients are slowly beginning to ask for a bit more a granular response to what we have put together in the past, which has been quite, I wouldn't say vague, but just quite generalized. I think people are holding us more accountable, or clients are holding us more accountable to be more specific in pitches on exactly what we're doing for ESG, you know, ES and G, as well as CSR, as well as pro bono. So we just need to make sure that we are doing a lot, but making sure that it is being fed in the right way to clients. But that's me with my business development hat on.
Mhm. Well, and maybe this leads to question 2 that I had put in the discussion is, how does your firm communicate to the public, if the public is an audience that you're interested in communicating this with, which I guess would be another question. It's CSR programs. And I have to admit, part of this question is just, you know, for y'all to be able to share ideas. But secondly, I've been trying to find the CSR activities of a lot of your firms, and I've been very unsuccessful in doing so. You know, searching websites or social media, and what I found has been very limited. And I know firms are doing a lot, so I'm wondering, you know, is this something you intend to communicate, and if so, how? Outside of pitches, obviously, where are you trying to get this information out, and how are you doing that?
Hi. Hi, I'm
Hi, Rina.
Rina from Indonesia. At our firm, we think CSR program is important because you know, it's part of reputation building, and you know, like as a commercial law firm, it's also important for us to humanize, you know, the firm's image. The fact that we're doing, you know, this social work, and we do publish them regularly on our. We have a special page on our website called CSR program. So we document all of our activities there, and we also post the activities on social media, on LinkedIn. And in the past few years, we've been focusing on one key theme, which is inclusivity. And we've been working with this institution for Down syndrome people, young people especially. And we've been working together. Before the pandemic, we had this program, like an internship, where we actually hired people with Down syndrome to work at the firm. And we customized the work so they can, you know, like actually do them and complete them, and they actually get paid. So it's not a charity work, because we want to highlight the fact that you know, these people are special because you know, it's not disability, because they also have something that they can offer for the firm and the community. So that program went on for around like 2 years before the pandemic, and we think that it's something unique that none of the other law firms in the country did, because you know, like maybe lawyers are supposed to be like, you know, people who work at law firms are supposed to be like really smart, and the fact that we you know, that we hire people with Down syndrome to work at the firm is a unique you know, like move. And this year, because of the pandemic, we did something different, which is we held a painting competition for young people with Down syndrome, and we awarded them with prize money, and then we also published their paintings, and we're currently developing those paintings into a calendar theme, for the firm for the next year's calendar. So again, like we don't want to just give out like charity to this special people, but we want to highlight that it's all about inclusivity. It's about like bringing about recognizing that they can also bring something unique, and I think the last program that we did with the painting competition went quite successfully, and yeah, so we choose to focus on one key theme just to get us more, like to get more impact actually, because before we did like various different things, and I think the message wasn't really as strong as if we focus on one particular group with our CSR. Thank you.
Thanks, Rena. Makes me think of, in my past life, I worked for Booz Allen, and at orientation, there were a lot of people with different types of disabilities that worked at Booz Allen. And in the orientation, they had a program where they said, everyone has disabilities, but with some people, it's easier to know what they are from the outset. And that's something that's always stuck with me, that sometimes it's easier when you actually know what a person's disability is to work with it versus someone else who may not appear to have disabilities, but we all have our, weaknesses or disabilities, whatever you want to call them. And sometimes we don't find them out until too late in the process. But I have seen that posted. So I definitely think y'all are doing a good job communicating about that. Anyone else have want to talk about how their firm communicates its CSR programs?
Yes.
Okay.
Here we are under the obligation, because of the size of our firm, to issue a sustainability report, a non-financial report yearly, together with our financial report. And we have to disclose a minimum content regarding non-financial impacts, which include both human resources, how we manage our human resources, and also the impact, the social impact, the social contribution that we have. So you can find the report at our website, or just typing in Google Quatre Casas Sustainability Report. We used to do this before it was a compulsory in Europe. But since many years, it is a norm of the European Union that applies to certain size companies, which we fall into. And apart from this, I agree that our business development also has increased their work in pitches of informing the clients of specific issues, whether they are environmental, our environmental impact, the carbon footprint that we leave with our activity, and also what we do to reduce it, and also on the social part, on the anti-corruption part, and on the governance part, which is also very, very important. So we do report this in a full sustainability report every year.
Elizabeth, was that required even during the pandemic, or was there a hiatus on the requirements? Oh,
Sorry,
Go ahead.
yeah, I had muted me. Yeah, the European law dates from several years ago, so it's something very ordinary for European companies, in which obviously law firms fall if you have the size that is determined by that norm. So I think this is an exercise that should be quite common in big European law firms, because they all fall under that obligation. Most of the big law firms in Europe did this before it was set as a disclosure obligation under European law. But yes, during the pandemic, we also did it, yeah.
Any other comments on that, or maybe the other kind of question we had here? What are the main challenges you or your firm have in developing and implementing CSR programs? Is it staffing? Is it volunteers? Is it, I mean, now could be pandemic related issues, firm support, or?
Hi, Beth. This is Latika, and my firm is from India, AZBN Partners, and it's one of the top tier 1 firms in India, and we do a lot of work across overseas as well. So right now, as I speak, we are under the process of revamping our website, because we feel there are a lot of things which are missing, and especially on the impact part. So instead of calling it CSR, we are really largely going to be putting all our content and initiatives under a bracket of impact. And largely we are doing it in 3 spaces. One is the advocacy. Our founding partners and some of the senior partners are part of a lot of Indian government initiatives and forums. So the other aspect is the pro bono engagements, which our senior partners are involved in. In fact, one of our founding partners is also part of the Center for the Advancement of Philanthropy. He's the chairman of CAP. So we feel that there are a lot of initiatives and a lot of work which we are doing in the area. And when you were talking about ESG, that's something which we don't have as a policy within the firm, but as part of the firm, we have an internal task force which comprises of few partners and associates, which kind of works with a lot of our clients and companies, where we advise them on the ESG policies. And in India, largely we are seeing that companies which are aligning themselves with the environmental, social, and governance considerations are clearly having a competitive advantage. So that is something as a practice which a lot of our lawyers are also doing. But to answer your question around about how we are communicating it, I think one is that now, since we have joined this forum, I think it's given us a platform to kind of educate our partners and lawyers and create more awareness around it. And as a firm, we definitely want to take it up as a huge initiative. And I think the first part is the impact program, which is going to happen in September, which is part of the WLG. So I am planning to have a meeting. I've already discussed with few of my senior partners and founding partner around it. And we will be sharing a more detailed project plan around it. But overall, I think there is a huge acceptance. And even though everyone is quite busy with the work, but I think there is a sense of that we need to give back to the society in some way or the other. And I see that there is kind of an acceptance to that, and more people are willing to participate in this as we kind of create more awareness around it and have more regular meetings around.
It sounds like it helps a lot when you have your founding partners being some of the pushers behind it.
Yes, that's true.
So I see that Ivor has said major obstacles in his region include lack of good projects, lower need for CSR in the Gulf states, bureaucracy, which he mentioned. I know when their firm gave a presentation, there was a lot of bureaucracy there that surprised many. And staff engagement, particularly in areas of law that don't have a track record of doing CSR. But I'm glad to hear, Latika, that this forum is helping within your firm, because obviously some firms in some countries are, way ahead in this area, and others are I don't want to say behind, because sometimes it's just dictated by what the expectation in the European region is very different than what would be expected in other regions, and probably eventually it'll make its way around, but everybody's at a different place.
I think it's just that, that maybe unconsciously this has been happening, but now it's more structured and there will be like a vision towards it. Though our founding partners are very hands-on to this, and they personally also contribute a lot to the society in terms of a lot of, pro bono engagements and microfinancing and a lot of things, but now I think it will be more structured with a clear vision and a roadmap, what we want to achieve in this year. So I think that's thanks to you. I think this has really helped kind of put this into perspective and create a more conscious awareness around it.
Oh, I have a little hand.
Ingrid.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Ines Lucena from Bruxelles in Argentina. Do you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, well, I just wanted to share that our firm has been historically mainly based in pro bono. We do a lot of pro bono. And what we have been achieving in the last years is to get partners do pro bono by themselves. But we did not have an agenda on CSR and on sustainability. And well, after our meetings, our last meetings with the World Law Group, we have been able to put up a new committee, which is led by partners, where we will be putting together a very straightforward agenda on CSR and on sustainability for our clients. And what we will be doing ourselves as our first commitment in this area as a firm. So we are very happy. We are meeting next week. So this is our first beginning. We are one of the firms who are very behind on this, but we are getting started. So that is very good news for us. So I will be sharing all the best practices that I get the information from most of you. So that is very good. Well, I just want to share that. And we have been, yes, we communicate a lot what we do on pro bono. On our webpage, we have a special place where we inform each of our works in pro bono, but we are starting to get ready with CSR. We are just beginning next week.
Great.
That's really exciting. That's so nice to hear.
Yeah.
Anyone else? We have a few more minutes before we can turn to impact. Anyone else have comments about communication or challenges or successes?
I think here in Brazil, our main challenge during the pandemic is that the pandemic here is not controlled yet. So we have been in the last 1.5 years in the virtual CSR dynamics, and everybody seems to be exhausted of being connected. So we see less engagement in CSR initiatives. But also we see that people are willing more to contribute positively to society. So we have both a challenge and a very positive aspect, that is people being more aware of their social function or role in society.
I think that's That's probably accurate for everyone, right? On the one hand, you're more aware and you want to help
I just,
more,
by
but
the way,
also-
before we move on to the next topic, I have been, it's very hard to see out. I've been showing this, I've been trying to show background for us. Shall we
Um,
move to impact?
Yep, we can do that. So, if you have not already, and some of you have mentioned it, your firm's progress today, but if you could let me know as soon as possible what your firm plans to do. Doesn't need to be, super specific, but if it's, we're going to have a group clean up a park and this, that, and the other, that would be great. We've been sharing as we've been receiving people's commitments that in the fortnight focus, just to help generate hopefully some momentum with firms who have not planned as much, and to keep it top of mind for people. I have asked if Janet would be able to send some individual reminders to firms that we haven't heard from yet in the next week. So I guess I just wanted to ask at this point, does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask about, WLG impact as a whole, or how it would function within their firm, or questions about a specific project, or anyone need ideas or help?
Me. Yeah, I contacted you, Beth, because it seems that I have missed some of the previous meetings, and I just wanted to make sure that I understood what the initiative was about. So what I understood is we have to plan as a firm a joint activity related to environment that has to take place during that week, right? It can be one
Yes.
day, and it would
Mhm.
have to be somewhere outside the firm, a collective activity that we have to think of.
It can be anywhere. I can tell you some of the
Oh, yeah.
firms are doing carbon reduction. So, I'm not even sure if some of those countries, if people are coming to the office, or if they're just, saying wherever you are. And some are doing it as a competition. We have a few firms doing planting type activities, a few firms doing cleanup type of activities. One for sure will not take place during the designated week because they're going to be using their summer students, they're calling them summer interns. So they may be doing it in the next couple of weeks, but we'll just hold off promotion until we promote the bigger event when we do it. So our plan is just to collectively promote impact in the couple of weeks leading up to it. And then the week of and the week after, then we'll be sharing about individual firms and what they're doing on social media to help highlight individual firms and their activities, and then also some collective maybe statistics about things that the organization putting all the firms' efforts together to show, sort of the global impact of it. Another firm has actually mentioned that they're doing a webinar. Is anyone from Formosa on the line? I don't know if you
Hello,
want to talk
everyone.
about that. Hello.
Yes, this is Jiaxing, and I come from Taiwan Formosa Transnational. And we are going to hold a webinar in September and October this year, and to correspond to the WLG's impact activities. And I want to share some experience of our law firm about the CSR activities. In communications, we just held some webinar and Zoom conferences to discuss about the legal issues of CSG or ESG. Yeah, and we have established a foundation to to issue bi-monthly periodicals to talk about the CSG issues. And these are our law firm's experience of the CSG. Thank you.
Thanks.
Very
So,
nice.
so I think you can see that, you know, the type of project can vary wildly, and that was intentional that we made it anything under environmental. So, you know, whatever your firm's pandemic situation is, or your local regulations, or, you know, just find something that works for your firm based on your firm's situation.
Thank you. Perfect. Understood.
So we are behind where I wanted to be at this point, and we'll talk about the video in a minute. And that's probably one of the reasons we're also behind with the video, because we thought it was important for us to be included. But we finally we finally got our act together in a way that we've issued a sort of memorandum or announcement. We did an announcement to the entire firm that we're participating in WLG Impact, and that we're having a contest for who can come up with the ideas that we'll use, and whoever wins and comes up with the ideas will get some kind of prize. So the last date to submit is today, due, and I am very happy that we've had over 50 people.
We said 50, Janet? 50.
All submitted ideas, especially I think because we offered a prize. A lot of them were saying the same things, that people were coming up with similar ideas, but the fact that 50 people submitted ideas, I think, is exciting. And by next week, we'll have it rolling and planning.
That's good that you had such a good response. So, so yeah, that's another way to get people involved in the planning, and then involved in the actual implementation as well.
So the video. So again, you want to talk about the video a bit? The idea of the video to do a promotion?
Before we go into the videos, Beth, can I apologize because maybe I have some previous email from you advising me, but I'm totally lost here since I just joined this group. Could you drop me an email just telling me what do you need from us? We'll be happy to speed it up, not to delay any schedules that you have.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
And I should note, so the Fortnight Focus, for people who receive it, it goes to all of the firm's key contact partners and the designated marketing contacts and administrative contacts. So that's a bi-weekly email that WLG sends out that has information about anything and everything that's important to what we consider relationship managers between the firm and the network. So it might be upcoming events, it might be new groups that are being formed, etc. And we have mentioned the CSR forum as well as WLG Impact in that. And that's where we're doing now those bi-weekly updates, just to keep people in the loop and let them physically see, oh, firms are planning things. Oh, you know, Taylor Vesting is going to do this, and Herzog Fox and Neiman is going to do that. So that's something that at least your key contact partners and admin and marketing contacts would be receiving, but I'll definitely send you an email, Elizabeth. And if anyone else is welcome to reach out to me individually. As far as the video goes, we were hoping to get a few people willing to record very basic, you know, on your phone type of recording, 30 seconds, just, you know, hi, this is Beth. I'm with X firm from X country, and we're really excited to participate in WLG Impact. Our firm is going to be, you know, cleaning up a local park, and if this is what Davies is doing. And then if we get, you know, reach our goal of 100 volunteer hours for this project, then the firm has agreed to donate to a charity that we've selected, which is why, I can't remember the name of it. And can't wait to hear what your firm is doing, as part of Impact, full stop. So something super basic and simple, but just to get some faces on there talking about what their firm is doing very briefly to hopefully lead to some FOMO, fear of missing out, and get those who are not moving as quickly, just to realize, ball is moving. People are participating in this, and we need to jump on this bandwagon. So if anyone is willing to do that, I'm just looking, 3-4 people, and we can just smash it together and get that in an email that can go out, and also include that in the next fortnight focus as well. That would be great.
Can I ask something? Because Natasha and I were chatting about this. Do you want to see our faces, or do you want us to ask like our key contact partners? So in our case, it would be like Koos, or should we ask our
Either
leadership?
one. I mean, whatever's easiest for you. So if it's going to be too complicated and time consuming to get Koos, then I mean, I'm perfectly happy to see your face, Anamika. It's beautiful. Koos is lovely too, but I think it's just more humans, and rather than just seeing it written, that videos might give a little bit more splash, and words will
One thing,
come across better.
and then is it just going in internal to internal?
Yes.
Okay, it's
Mhm.
not on the social media or anything like that.
No.
'Cause,
No. So it's just to drum up engagement amongst the members.
Okay, great.